all you've ever wanted in entertainment in one superb show. Here is matchless story, suspenseful, terrifying, never so thrillingly presented. Here in breathtaking Technicolor is superb spectacle and splendor and romance. Here is a chorus of 100 voices, a ballet of 100 dancers, a cast of 1,000, starring Nelson Eddy in his most vigorous performance, lovely Susanna Foster, and Claude Rains in the most coveted role of the year as the Phantom of the Opera.
My music! You've stolen it! You've stolen my music!
Horror Hounds, welcome to the Black Sunday Tapes Classic Horror Episode 17. We're nearly at the end of our Universal Monster series, but, you know, it's been a good ride, and we're coming up on one that I really, really, really like, and I've been a little bit quiet about it. I haven't really brought it up that much because I wanted Michael to go in completely fresh on this, and I am, of course, talking about 1943's The Phantom of the Opera, our first foray into Technicolor with the Universal Monster films. Beautiful, beautiful Technicolor. I'm going to get into my thoughts in a minute because I have very strong thoughts on this film. All good, by the way. But yeah, I'll get into my thoughts in a minute. Off the top, man, I just need to know, what did you think? How did it hit you?
I loved it for so many reasons. So I managed to go into this adaptation completely blind, but I have seen Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical. I have seen the musical by the other fellow whose name I'm forgetting right now. I absolutely adore Phantom of the Paradise.
Yes.
But
That's
this,
the palm, right?
oh yeah. Folks, if you've not seen Phantom of the Paradise, please, I beg you, just go watch it. But we're here talking the original. No, this isn't the original. No, the original was 1920 something, right? Phantom.
Yeah. So the original, I'll touch on it briefly. It is something we will definitely cover because obviously we want to get into some of the silent film era. So obviously, probably the most famous image ever, apart from the Andrew Lloyd Webber poster for the musical, the most famous image ever for Phantom of the Opera is the Lon Chaney makeup, and that comes from 19. I can't think of the exact year, but it was a 1920s adaptation.
I say 25, but I could be
wrong.
Yeah,
it was around about then. It was around about the mid-20s, and yeah, it's a silent film, but that was Universal's first stab at, they bought the rights to the book, and then yeah, that was their first stab at it, and that was a massive success. And actually that's why we got this, because when they decided to make Universal Monster films, that was the first one on their list, before Dracula, before Frankenstein, before any of them. They had purchased the rights to Warner Books, but Phantom of the Opera with Lon Chaney Sr. was such a huge success that they wanted to do it again. And but to do it again, they wanted to, like they did with the silent film. The silent film was like really big budget for the time, and they wanted to do a really, really big budget film of it, because even though it's within the Universal Monsters brand right now, it was never considered really a horror picture. So that's why
the way it's treated is not a horror
yeah,
film
like coming off the back of Wolfman, right? And I'm saying that's kind of the start of the B movies. You yourself saying, oh, it looks like they're taking a step back money wise and stuff.
It kind of did.
Now we walk into this. This is probably the biggest production we've seen yet. But there is a reason for that. It's because they didn't really
treat money at it.
Yeah, they didn't really treat it as a horror picture, but also Phantom of the Opera is a big prestige picture for Universal. And yeah, it all started with that 1920s one, and then this is the second adaptation of which now is like 10 million, right? There's 10 million examples out there of it. But yeah,
but no, so like I was there for that, and then just the grandeur of the opening, the camera moves,
yes,
the giant pan up to the box, like I Argento's opera is
yeah,
like is one of the few giallos I've seen, and I couldn't love the cinematography in that more. And when I was watching this, I was like, oh, okay, all right. I was like, so he's a huge fan of this.
yeah. I think like for me, I'll get into my thoughts on it. This is one of those Universal monster films, especially within that canon, that just doesn't come up, right? It doesn't. You don't hear it as much
Exactly.
as,
Yeah.
definitely not as much as a Frankenstein or a Bride or Dracula, the Wolfman, Creature, which will be our next and final in the series. But like it just doesn't come up. It just doesn't cut. This is the one most people forget about. This is everything I love about classic Hollywood. Everything. It's
Okay.
the huge sets, the absolutely ginormous sets,
Oh,
the
I love them
the
so
the
much.
huge musical numbers, but also the huge, just like the staging of it all and the blocking from the director and just everything. The acting, I just love how it's serious in areas, it's really campy in other areas. It's
Oh
everything
yeah.
classic Hollywood I love, but I love how they really play up a lot of the camp in the film, and to a very satisfying conclusion, I think, which I think still holds up today with your two, not the Phantom, but your two other male leads.
Yeah.
The way they're going back and forth.
The little Heckle and Jekyll characters, if you
Yeah,
will.
the
Yeah.
way they're going back and forth through the whole film, man. And they're both pining over the lead,
Yeah, there.
the female lead, played by Susanna Foster, who is absolutely incredible. She is. I'll probably go out and say that of all the lead female characters, I'm excluding the bride from that because I feel she's like not monster, right? Let's say not monster, but of all the female lead characters in all the universe monster films, I think Susanna Foster is my favorite. I just
Okay.
think she really holds up. I think she adds a lot to the film. I think she's being pined after by these two guys, but she's never not in control of the situation. I feel like she is definitely playing them both off of each other. Come the end of the film, they know that, and then they're like, like
Yeah,
I
I
take
get
it
you.
if you're listening to this, you've seen the film.
Hopefully
If
you've
not,
seen it.
spoilers.
Retroactive spoilers and spoilers here forward.
Right, yeah, spoilers here for. Go and watch it. Come back. But the film ends with them basically skipping out arm in arm, and I love that. I absolutely love how innocent, how camp, how it's like I said, it's
I
everything
get
I
the
love.
innocence in camp, but I didn't appreciate the extended ending, if you will. Like this was the one I felt went on too long because I felt the
Oh,
perfect end
interesting.
was I felt the perfect end was the zoom in on the instrument and the mask. Because like that's the end of the movie. Stop. Oh
Okay,
no, there's
interesting.
5 more minutes.
Interesting. Okay, interesting. See, I didn't mind the way they ended it. I quite liked it actually because I think it rounded out Christine. It really rounded out her character,
Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
Susanna
Like
Foster
I'm not
character.
mad at the intent. I
Yeah,
don't
maybe it was
know.
the way it was edited. Like if
Okay.
that had come just before they go back into the like
Right.
underground
Right.
area, right?
Like
Yeah,
literally let that be the last shot.
there you go.
Like
Yeah. I do agree with that. Even though,
so
like, I do, and again, this is just me being really nitpicky. In all honesty, I don't care. But
yeah,
you
no,
saying
no.
about that
I mean,
shot, the one thing that really does make me laugh every time I watch this film and every time I see that shot is I think to myself, how did that whole thing fall apart?
right.
But the violin and the bow
It's
land
the
so
Lannisters for the
perfectly
Game of
together.
Thrones, yes.
And I'm pretty sure the mask wasn't there. I'm like, how did it like get set up so perfect? But the first time I saw that, I actually thought we were gonna get a bit of a like Carrie ending with his arm coming up through
Okay.
the
All right.
and like grabbing the mask or something. Yeah, but actually I'm glad they didn't do that. I'm glad it's quite restrained. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love that, man. I mean, who
Well, you were saying about the way that you appreciated that, like she's always in control.
Yes.
So like I had a couple of heckles go up, and I was like, are we gonna lean into this like objectification thing? Because there's the her of it where they're just like they almost don't care so much about her, they care about winning. And then there's the they don't believe that the woman was drugged, and I'm like, what the hell, what the hell, what the hell? But then both of those characters get all of the power back, like almost
Yeah.
immediately,
Yeah.
like really strong. Like, oh, you didn't think I was drugged? Well, now I'm running this particular situation. And like I really appreciated that. Like they were like, we're gonna almost pull the rug out from under you. Like, here's what you think you're gonna get, and then here's what we're gonna give you. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. I think I'd be very, very interested to find out from our female listeners out there how
Yeah.
they react to the different portrayals of women in this film. But for me, especially in and no, do you know what, in any sense, but especially in a classic film sense, but to me actually in any sense, I think it does hold up. I don't think the women are portrayed in a bad way at all. I think
No. Yeah.
Christine is always in control of her situation. I think if anything, the guys come off is the more desperate, the more
Exactly.
like they're the losers at the end of it. Christine's the winner at the end of it, and that's what I kind of like about the way the whole thing ends. But yeah, let's jump into the cast. We've touched on Susanna Foster, who, like I make no mistake about how absolutely incredible I think she is. But let's kick off with our guy who's been coming in and out a lot of these films. So Claude Rains is back. He, for this film, is coming off the back of Casablanca.
Uh-huh.
So he has just had the biggest hit of his career that he'd ever have. And actually, he was not working for Universal at the time. So Universal had to kind of convince him to come back.
Okay.
He had signed with I believe it was Warner Bros. Actually at the time he was signed with. So yeah, they had to convince him to come back. But originally, there was rumors that the director originally wanted Lon Chaney Jr. to reprise his father's role. That's again, it's
Mm-mm,
one of those
mm-mm,
weird things
mm.
that's kind of
I
debated.
mean, even if that's true, I don't know how it would have.
Yeah,
It
how it
couldn't have been
worked.
the same movie.
No,
Claude
exactly.
Rains
Well,
was just.
oh, it's
I
incredible.
mean, like my reaction watching this was like, this Claude Rains fella is going places. Like I
Yeah,
need to,
yeah,
like,
exactly. No,
like
it's
I
so good.
really need to see more of his work.
Oh,
Like,
he's incredible. I love Claude. Like, he's one of my favorite classic Hollywood actors.
I'm getting that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is up there, man. I love him. I think he's absolutely incredible in this film. But yeah, it's interesting knowing that there are them rumors that it was apparently early talks for Lon Chaney Jr. But then I've seen other stuff where people said actually he was never seriously considered. That was
Okay.
more of kind of tabloid speculation purely because it was his dad's most famous role, but he was never truly considered for it. Basically for the reasons you were kind of hinting at, that he wasn't the right actor. He probably wasn't
Yeah.
good enough, to be honest. Obviously, Karloff come up as he always does with these films, and the sequel that they ended up making to this, Karloff does star in, not as the
Wait.
not as the Phantom.
Wait. There's a sequel.
There is a sequel to this. It is not called Phantom of the Opera. That's why apparently it bombed. Susanna Foster's back, but it doesn't. It doesn't follow Claude Rains' Phantom, and Boris Karloff's in it as he's like wife is in a coma or something, and he's running the opera house at the time, and he's trying to bring her out of the coma or trying to bring her back to life, something like that. I saw it years and years and years ago. It wasn't,
Fair.
as much as I love Karloff, it's good, and I remember it being like a hell of a spectacle. So if you want a spectacle, definitely watch it for that. But I don't remember it being extremely noteworthy. That's why I can't really remember too much about it.
Hmm.
But it is out there. What do you think of Claude Rains in this and the rest of the cast, man?
Well, I mean, like specifically with Rains, like he's just so heartfelt and emotional and believable. Like just all of it. And even when you're like, "Whoa, buddy," like you jump to conclusions a little quickly. And specifically, what I'm talking about is, when he's like, "You stole my music," it's like he didn't even know he was playing it. Whoa, whoa, calm down, calm down, calm down.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
but at the same time, it's like you want to slap him, but you get where he's coming from because he's like, "I need my music back. It's the only copy," and you're like, "What?
Yeah,
Why would you hand write another copy? Like, bro." Why did you give them the only copy?
that's very true.
But you like that's why you understand the desperation and I don't know,
Yeah, it's
man.
like
Like
everything.
the it's his face and his eyes. You just buy him, you know.
Yes. What did you? We've touched on it briefly, but Nelson Eddy and Edgar Barrier, I believe his name was, the two gentlemen that are pining for Christine's heart. What did you make of those?
I mean, at first I was like, "What are we doing? This is a little over the." And they're there to like break up the dramatic tension and maybe some of the creepy tension that hits, you know. And I appreciated their interplay, where it was just that like they just have a look off, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
like she's bent over doing something. They glare at each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that made me giggle when I watched it dry, and then when I watched it with the commentary while I was doing stuff. Like
Yeah.
absolutely, like they, yeah, they're definitely upon rewatches. I'm gonna perk up when they're on screen. You know?
Oh, definitely, man. Like the different close-ups of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Oh, there's so many good close-ups of them. There's so many, just those back and forth close-ups with no
and
dialogue.
that's
It's just
so
their
harshly
reactions.
drawn on facial hair that just makes
Oh, it's
like
so
it just
good.
moves with their lips in the right way. Where you're like, dude, what are you doing?
It's so good, man. It really, really is. It really, really is good. So on that note, Nelson Eddy was actually he wasn't an opera singer, but he could sing. So that's one of the things in this film. The people that sing actually do sing. That is them singing. So back in the day, you were cast if you could act and sing, right? What your voice wasn't. I'm sure there were some
You
instances
had to
where it
be
was
that
dubbed, but for the
proverbial
most
triple
part,
threat, as it were.
yeah. I believe when Susanna Foster got this role, she was 18, 19 years old, something like that.
Hmm.
She
Yeah.
had done like one thing, two things, something like that, and like, got a bit of recognition for it. But then it was basically that singing voice, the fact that she could hit those, there's one shot in the film of it where she can hit a ridiculously high note that, shatters windows. It's absolutely incredible. But
Oh yeah, yeah. Even
yeah,
on my
but
headphones,
Nelson
I went,
Eddy, I mean,
"Oh,
yeah, exactly. Nelson Eddy, like great singer himself. And actually he would go on tour and he would sing. And actually after this film, he offered Susanna Foster the opportunity to go on tour with him. And she declined because she wanted to stay in Hollywood and work on her acting career, which, she did get quite a few roles afterwards. So that kind of
okay."
did pan out for her, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, again, if we're talking top build cast, they're all incredible. But again, as you usually bring up, so many great side players, right?
Oh my god, the background stuff. Like
Yeah,
some of my favorite
yeah.
stuff in like the stage manager with the schnoz beard
Oh,
situation.
so
Like
good.
I loved that guy because it was like I don't know, like I got a lot of theater in my blood, and there like if you've been in the theater, you've worked with or met that guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you've just been to a theater, if you've been to a theater and you look at the people around the side of the stage and the people taking everything far too seriously.
Yeah.
That guy's there. That guy's there. Like, every theater has. I'm sure when they build the theater, they build that person. Like that person just comes with the theater. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
real Phantom of
they
the
just they
Opera.
just materialize
Yeah,
while you're
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
where are you? They're like, no, I've always been here.
I've always been there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like Jack in The Shining. Just he's always been there. Just never left that guy.
So like that dude, I forget the character, but he's in one of the scenes where you've got the director of the theater and like all the main players, and he delivers a line, "After 20 years at the Paris Opera, a man is capable of anything." And I just the delivery of that, I loved it so much.
Yeah, no, there's so many good lines. There's so many good lines. The screenplay is actually really good, like really, really top notch. Like you said off the top, you can tell this was treated as a real Hollywood A picture.
Hmm.
There was no bones pulled. This was a real. This was an Oscar film. This was up for a couple of Oscars and won for best cinematography, which we're
That
going to get into
tracks.
shortly
That tracks.
because my God, how can you not? This was a big deal, man. Like a lot of money was spent on this. They spent a lot of time developing this. Like I said, this
Touching
was
on the money real
originally
quick,
going to be.
one of the
Yeah,
really
go on.
interesting things commentary was so like there are rumors that it cost 1.75 million dollars, and when addressed about this subject directly, the director was like, no, absolutely not. It cost between 900,000 and 1.25.
Yeah.
And the reported budget was $1 million, which at the time was astronomical, given that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
last picture the director made was 10% of that and considered a big budget.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
so
it was incredible. Well, they had, I mean, like Technicolor again was very rarely used at this time, and you know it was a incredible process to shoot Technicolor at this time.
And I'll tell you what, as a colorblind individual, this was
Yeah,
bright and poppy
yeah,
and I noticed I was like, it's got to have something to do with the process because I'm like, the colors start and stop. There is no blend, there is no bleed, there are no multiple
no,
colors in a
yeah.
single place.
You're
It is
right. That's
all
completely down to the
one
process.
thing.
Yeah, that's
And
completely down to the process. So you've probably
okay,
heard of the Technicolor free strip process. So basically, when they first developed color film, you so original color. So oddly, the Phantom of the Opera we were talking about from 1920, there is a color version of that they put out, but it's essentially just red. Like the whole film is basically just red, and that's
okay,
because like color you would have to shoot in one of the three main color spectrums, right? So red, blue, or green. So when Technicolor come up with their free strip process, basically what that was is it was a camera that would run all three strips at the same time. So you would run your blue strip,
okay,
your red strip, and your green strip at exactly the same time through the same camera. It was, you know, this ginormous unit of a thing. You would have to have a Technicolor specialist on set at all times to make sure you're lighting properly, make sure you're, you know, you're doing all that properly because the amount of light you would need. So that was like one of the other things that was reported from the set is it was
must have been hotter than
so
hell.
hot. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was so hot. Like the makeup would just run off your face because the light you would need to, you know, bring out those bright colors. But when they get it right, and this film they get it right, like the Wizard of Oz, they get it right.
Yeah.
My God, does it look good? My
Oh,
God, does it
it's
pop?
yeah. And like
Like straight away.
man, and the way that they decided to, because again, you can't blend because of the process. So the way that they like put like strips of color going through garments at times, or the shiny blue of the dress at one point that's on, is it Christine?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I
Well,
find
again,
it
man, that's all part of the process. Like,
yeah.
so when you knew you were shooting in Technicolor, the Technicolor technicians were not just there to advise the cinematographers and the director. They were there to work with a wardrobe, with the set designers, with everything. Everything was meticulously put together to work with this Technicolor process. So the costume designer would be told to use certain colors. The set dressers, the set decorators, they would all be told, okay, you know, everyone would be working together to make it pop, to make it work.
Like
And
that
again,
gold on that piano.
oh,
That
it's
was
incredible.
intense. Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible. It's a hell of a process, and it costs a hell of a lot of money. And obviously,
Sounds like it hurt, but it was
yeah,
worth it.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot simpler ways to do it now. But I would love to see someone make a film
Today with that
today
process.
with that,
Yeah.
just purely because how those colors pop.
All right,
If
you
you
need to
watch
cut it.
those,
'Cause that's our no, that's our idea. We can't give that away.
no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. But man, what I just I love that old Technicolor process. I absolutely love it. I still don't think there is any shot in cinema as spellbinding as the shot in The Wizard of Oz, where it goes from black and white to color.
I'm
That
I'm
shot
inclined to agree.
is that is magic. You want to talk about cinema being magic? That shot is magic. When me and you saw that, Michael, we were very, very well aware of color films.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine the audience members that had never ever seen a color film, and they watched the opening, whatever, like 10, 15 minutes of The Wizard of Oz, saw
Exactly.
black and white, and then all of a sudden they open that door, and you go from black and white to color. I can imagine like some people would need a fucking exorcism after
Yeah,
that.
like
Like that, do you know what I
gasps
mean?
and people fainting.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
to me, that would have been you know, what kind of voodoo is this?
It's like, how dare you,
Yeah,
witches?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, burning people at the stake.
Oh yeah, no, that's why we love cinema the way that we
Yes.
love it,
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
there are people that don't like movies, and I don't know about them.
Yeah. I should I don't know if I already said it actually about the Oscars, but I should note that this did win the Oscar for best color cinematography because back then
Were
you
there
actually
two
had
different
two.
categories?
Yeah, you had two Oscars for cinematography. You had black and white, and then color when color come along. And then it
Okay.
wasn't till I can't remember when it changed, but they then combined it a few years later. But they actually, if you look at the Phantom of the Opera, there's actually two director of photographers on this because you would have your normal director of photography, but then you would hire someone that specialized in color photography as well. So yeah,
Okay.
like absolutely incredible, man. But if you go and look at the credits for this film has some credits that I had never ever seen on a picture before this. So there's like there's a director just for dialogue. There's a director
Okay.
just for this. There's a director just for that. It's insane. Like the
Yeah.
fucking money they put into it. It's incredible. I mean, don't get me wrong, it works, but my god, like it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Uh,
Right, let's talk about the incredible sets because
uh, the scale, the
oh
scale.
oh
Oh,
the
I'm just
incredible.
gonna do the I don't know what to call it, so I just called it the River Enclave. Oh my God,
Yeah,
that was just like
insane,
again
right?
when I have infinite expendable income and I have a large estate, I'm gonna have a pool that's that like
Yeah, yeah.
like it's amazing just that
Oh,
because
it's
you can
unbelievable.
tell the scale of the thing because how small the people are in the
Yes.
frame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah.
holy hell,
Oh,
how
it's
big was this?
unbelievable. That if we're talking scale though, the Opera House,
The opera house itself, yeah,
which
that
is
allowed that giant crane shot at the beginning.
right, that Opera House, what you see anyway, that is a one-to-one replica of the Paris Opera House.
Okay,
It was built from the
okay,
blueprints. Here's what's really interesting about it. I don't know if they brought this up in the commentary. That set was actually built for the original 1920s silent
hmm
film.
hmm
And they had to redo some stuff because obviously shooting in color, blah 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 blah. But that set was built for the original 1920s film. It was used for this. It was then used for years and years and years and years after.
oh,
Like that
continuously,
set
yeah.
just like stood forever. It's also said that it is the first ever steel structure that was built on a universal lot because everything before that was just built out of wood and
Would
knocked
yeah,
down afterwards and stuff. But that was the
right.
first steel structure
They're
that
like,
was
this is
built, and
sticking around for a
it was
while.
ginormous, man. They built a whole sound stage just for that. Like you said, the crane shots inside there.
Oh my
The
God, so awesome.
I My favorite sequence in the whole film. It's a bit ropey how he does it, but where he cuts the chandelier. I mean, cutting it with that little tiny jigsaw. I don't
Yeah,
know if
I
it actually
mean, we're not going to talk about that as
yeah,
someone
okay.
took as much
But
bush shot as I've taken, but
the setup of it, the direction of it, the editing, the everything. It's if they had worked out a better way for that chandelier to fall rather than cutting it with a tiny little jigsaw, which definitely would not work. If they had, I tell you what, I would have liked to have seen those old chandeliers. A lot of them are they're like bolted to the ceilings, right? There's
Mhm,
like huge bolt that goes
exactly.
all the way through the ceiling, which has these huge nuts on the end of it. I would have loved to have seen like him undoing the nuts and like let's say there's four nuts with these four big bolts. It just starts shaking more and more as he gets down to the last one, and then as he undoes it, it just like crashes. I think that would have been all that would
I
have made
guess
more sense as well than thing. But anyway, rather than that, the
Scott, you're
direction of it.
thinking too hard. This
Yeah, I am.
isn't about
I
making sense. We just
no
need it
no.
to fall. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. But the setup of that scene, man, I like honestly, I could do a whole breakdown on that scene. The way that scene starts, where it foreshadows exactly what is going to happen with a crane shot that pushes in on the chandelier.
It
It
sure does.
pushes in on the chain, right? It pushes in on chain that he's going to cut. And
Yeah.
then the camera cranes down into the audience. Like it literally tells you what is going to happen. The editing between him cutting, the singing, the bit where they hit the note, it falls, the shot looking up, it coming down, the set that they ended up building with the crashed chandelier and the people underneath it. Oh my, like I'm just, if you can't tell, I just like, I am so in love with it. It's one of those things
It's great.
that,
It's great, dude. I'm
yeah,
not mad at you.
as an audience member, I'm blown away by it. As a filmmaker, it's one of those things that you watch and go, fuck, I wish I shot that. Like, do you know what I mean? You're just like, God, I wish I could do something. 'Cause, like, I hope one day I direct a scene as effective and just everything, like all the moving parts, the audience, the opera, the phantom up in the thing, the chase that's going on. Oh, so good, man. So, and also that,
Yeah.
like the chase,
The
like
chase
up
up,
in the
dude, up in the
rafters.
flyaways. Oh
What
my
the
god,
hell?
the ropes, just just the everything. Because again, if you've ever been in a theater, like behind things, that it's exactly what that is. It's just a bunch of
Yeah,
long ass ropes. Like it is so. It just looks so good because again, like with the how the color palette just entirely changes,
so good.
and I don't know, man, just the tension of it and the glorious looks through the mask on the as Claude Rains just turns while he's
Oh,
on the ladder and
it's,
whatnot. You're just
yeah,
like, oh my god, yes.
absolutely incredible. Have you seen the later Mission Impossible films?
I haven't seen 6 yet. I've seen the rest.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Six is the latest, right? I haven't seen that one either. So
Correct.
in 4 or 5, I want to say 5.
I love 4. Did not really care for 5. That's a conversation maybe for another time.
Is it 5 where there's the chase in the? Is it the Vienna Opera House? And they
Oh,
basically
but I did really like. There are parts of 5 that I really liked. Yes, that is. Yes, that was great. That was great.
they basically do this. They do that chase, but
Yeah.
obviously with stunts and Tom Cruise trying to kill
Yeah.
himself. But
Yeah.
but yeah, like that's surely that is an homage to this, right? It's so similar.
It has to be, right?
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be. So we touched on cinematography. We touched on the incredible sets and stuff like that. I think it will be. I said it won best cinematography in color. It also won best art direction. So let's briefly touch on that. Obviously, it kind of comes in to the stuff we were talking about. The set, we kind of already touched on some of it,
One
but
of the most distinctive
art
things to me
direction, man.
was just the break in how grand and curvy everything was when you get to Claudire's apartment, and it's
Yes,
all like Tim Burton angles.
yes, it is. Yeah,
Even outside the window, even the
yeah,
smokestacks across the way.
yeah. Oh, what great like that shot of him walking down. Yeah, oh, everything about this
I
film, man.
just yeah,
It is like for a lot of it, it's almost shot as if it is a play because
which
it,
makes sense
yeah,
because the
which makes
concept.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
which makes complete sense, and you can see where someone like Andrew Lloyd Webber has taken this bit and this bit and this bit, and then transported it into his musical.
Mhm.
But it's incredible, man. That set, yeah, for his like tiny little janky apartment, and then just other stuff like the following scenes where he goes to see Christine at her lessons.
Mhm.
And again,
Mhm.
just the grandeur of that place where she's having her lessons. So again, absolutely, yeah, just incredible. And then you touched on the I don't really know what you call it, like the underbelly of the opera, the like tombs, the catacombs. I guess
Yeah.
you would call it 'cause it's Paris, right? So the catacombs.
All right, there it is.
Oh, they're so good. Like the lake, and then as you go into his little layer with the piano and stuff like. Oh man,
Yeah.
absolutely
Uh,
incredible. So good.
Everything about it was just right. It
Yeah,
was just
it really is. Like
so,
this
like
is
you could see that the money went. You know what I mean? Like it's not like
yes,
it. Yeah, man. It's just everything that they could do to use cinema properly, they did,
they
and
did. Yeah, exactly.
it's emotionally effective. It's visually arresting. It's great,
If you
man.
gave me the opportunity to watch only one Universal monster film on the big screen, it would be this
I
because
might have to agree with that. Yeah.
I think you would get the most out of this. Like I said, it's not. It's one of my favorites. as an overall film. It's obviously not the favorite. That's Frankenstein and then The Bride, but as a big screen experience, I think you'd get more out of this than anything. The
I would
sound,
have, yeah,
the color, the everything,
yeah, the scale, man,
the
the
scale.
absolute
Yeah,
scale. I
I'd
mean,
love
I
to see.
really want to see Bride, but if I gotta pick one, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with this.
I just think you would get so much out of it. I've only ever watched this on a TV screen, and just the look, the feel, the atmosphere, the music, everything just has such a profound effect on me from a TV screen. I have no idea how that would feel in a cinema, especially if I was able to watch this in an old classic cinema in your neck of the woods in
Mm,
LA. My
mhm.
God, my God! Like imagine one of
Well,
the
there's actually one
original.
really close to me out where
Yeah.
I live on the outskirts of LA, and there's a place in a city called El Segundo that I really
Right.
hope still sticks around. Like
Oh,
it has an organ, like
ugh, I would love, 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 love to see it. I really, really would, man. I really, really would.
we got to make it happen. We got to manifest it. Here it
Oh,
comes.
we'll definitely make it happen. Definitely make it happen. I'd love to get to a place where like Tarantino has the New
The new
Beverly,
Beverly, yeah.
yeah, where he just screens a lot of his old films. I would love to just have,
His personal prints,
yeah,
exactly.
exactly, yeah. I'd just love to have a cinema where like just on loop you're just showing all these classic monster films and stuff like that, man. Oh, it'd be incredible, wouldn't it? Just like
Oh
all
man,
horror films pre 1965. The
I
stuff that most people don't see. The stuff we spoke about in this podcast, like from the Universal Monster stuff to Carnival of Souls, to just
yeah,
giving people that big screen experience of those and ourselves, to be fair, because
absolutely.
yeah,
It's one of those that like if in a perfect world we have the biggest IMAX ever, but like realistically, I just want a theater that's capable of screening film
yeah,
and like we'll say digital because certain things are awesome when
yeah,
they're
yeah,
digital. But man, just to be able to watch whatever I want to watch and also be like, hey, come, yeah, give me
yeah.
a couple bucks, come watch it with me.
Check this out. Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, be incredible. So what's interesting about this is one of the things that is kind of continuous throughout all of the adaptations of the Phantom of the Opera is the music's always different, right? Like near enough, the music is always the musical score, but also the songs that they are performing on
Right.
stage.
So it's always opera, but you never know what you're gonna
There
get.
you go.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get. Quite famously, I think with this is they had to completely change everything that was being performed on stage with this because we're
Is
talking
that why the
94.
lip sync was so off? I didn't want to be shitty about that because, God,
No,
man,
it
that was annoying
was
sometimes.
the I think that was more to do with the way they kind of recorded the sound back then, especially for
Oh,
those
okay.
bigger.
Yeah.
But that's not. I didn't notice that too much on my Blu-ray of it, so I don't know if they've maybe fixed the sync of it on the Blu-ray. Maybe I'm not.
I
Have you?
watched
What
it
are
on
you
a
watching? Are you
Blu-ray.
watching it on
I
DVD or?
watched it on a Blu-ray.
Oh, you did watch it on Blu-ray. Oh, okay, it should be
Yeah.
the same one. Is it the
From the mega
uh?
set.
Is it the Universal 100th anniversary set?
It's the Universal Classic Monster set that has all 30 of them.
So when you fire it up, does it
Yeah.
start the 100 years of Universal stuff? Because that was the last one they released. So I
I
wonder if they've
I
redone
don't
it.
think
Yeah.
so. Maybe
Okay. So yeah, I
they
wonder if
redid
they've I
it.
wonder if they've
Yeah.
retouched it because I didn't really notice that. I noticed it in some areas, but more with background people, not with any of the main players.
See,
But
I noticed it right up front with the main guy.
see, I
Like
didn't
it
notice
was
that. So.
whatever. It truly appeared that he was singing something entirely different than was playing.
Oh no, that's not. No, that shouldn't be the case at all. So they knew from the offset they had to completely change music. So it wasn't like they filmed one thing and then had to record something afterwards. They
Okay.
knew from the offset they completely had to. And the reason for that is we're talking 1943. This was shot
Oh no, for sure. Yeah,
back into
it
42, 43.
they had some sort of a new way to record sound or something for this
Yeah,
picture specifically.
yeah, they did. Yeah, they developed a new way to record for this film. I believe. I believe it was like a Universal's own way to do something a little bit special with the sound. So yeah, I think that's why the sound does hold up a lot better than than a few of the other films, definitely. But in terms of the opera songs, the reason they're different in this film is because of when this film was made. Obviously, we were in the height of the Second World War, so it was nearly impossible to track down and get permission from the owners of the music that is, I think, referenced in the original book. I've never actually read the novel.
Same.
Yeah, but I believe whatever's referenced in that, it was basically impossible to track down who owned that and to get that. So what they done was they essentially took whatever was in the public domain and then just recorded it with their own orchestra and then put it in film. So that's why, yeah, you've got very different songs in this. But I think they work. I think they really work. I think it definitely adds to it. You definitely feel like you're at the opera, right? It feels big, it feels grand, it feels special. It definitely adds to the film. I don't think it takes anything away.
No, not at all. Absolutely. Like it's, you get exactly what you're supposed to get out of it. It might not be big, grand. It's not the everybody knows this piece of opera if they know opera, but it's opera.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I really dug it. Just the scale of the entire production at every single level was grand, and I was all in love with it. It was great.
It's incredible.
You know what we haven't talked about?
Go.
The makeup.
Let's touch on that. So obviously I started with saying that the most famous image ever from any Phantom of the Opera thing is that Lon Chaney makeup, which is, that's like a real monster. Like, he's not just disfigured, he's completely inhuman in a way. This is completely different, and then every other version, to be honest, is different, right? He's just disfigured a little bit. So what did you make up of the makeup in this? And it was quite restrained as well when you finally get a reveal at the end, right?
Oh, of course. I'm sorry. I feel like an idiot. I'm like, I know I've seen the original makeup, and I had to look it up. Yes, of course. He is absolutely. He's a monster. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this makeup I actually really liked. I heard that like basically the only way they got Claude Rains was they wanted full disfigurement. He's like, not gonna happen.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it was like a collaboration between makeup artist and guy that it was going to be applied to on what level would be there.
Yeah.
And so the amount of acid that is thrown in his face is entirely more acid than would give you with the scar that you get.
Yeah.
But the scar that you get is really impressive. It's
It's
impressive
really good.
today. If it's
Yeah.
impressive today, what must it have been like? It must have been Saw level gross at the time. I can only imagine.
Oh yeah,
Because
definitely.
it was pretty intense. And I mean, I'm not going to say it looked hyper real because, it is what it is and when it is and the way they shot the scene. It's kind of almost purposely out of focus at times for most of the time, but it's still incredibly effective. And the little bits of detail you do get to see are like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Incredible. So yeah, again, like all the Universal stuff, Jack Pierce was the makeup guy on this, and again, I think he done a really incredible job in terms of realistic makeup. I think this is one of the best jobs he ever done. He was absolutely, yeah, it's an incredible job. It's an incredible job, and yeah, like you said, it was Claude Rains was not doing this with heavy makeup, so apparently the original design was actually a little bit heavier to go along with the amount of acid that's thrown in his face, but because Claude Rains had final say on it, Jack Pierce would basically apply the full extent of what he wanted to do. Then Claude Rains would be like, nope, take a little bit away. Jack Pierce take a little bit away. Then Claude Rains would be like, nope, take a little bit more away.
Yeah.
He'd take a little bit more away, and eventually they got to what you see in the film. And actually, I think it really works. I think the
Oh yeah.
choice by Claude Rains was actually the correct one. And why I would have loved to have seen Jack Pierce do his version of the full out monster that Lon Chaney Sr. produced. Yeah, I really like this. I think it really, really works. I think it really plays into the character. And Claude Rains definitely makes it work. That whole scene, I love that. There's a shot in the end scene. This isn't Stu the makeup, but there's a shot in that end scene just after a reveal when they fire the gun into the rafters and then everything starts falling apart. And as they run out, the wall behind Claude Rains starts to collapse and he turns around and looks at it. And if you watch it closely, it is just like a foam wall. But that foam wall hits him
Oh,
foam
square
wall,
in the face.
yeah, it just takes him out, man. Like that is, there was no holding back on that. They just let that fall straight on him. It's also said there's also a weird. I don't know if it's completely true, but there's like a lot of the stuff with this, but it is said that in that end scene, when you see the three main characters running out from the back, the only actor that was actually properly in that scene is Susanna Foster, and the two guys actually
Yeah,
have stunt doubles for
100%.
because Universal deemed them too important to be in that scene,
The
just
guy
in
in the
case they got
commentary
hurt.
who said realistically they had better agents, but
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought that was quite funny as well. That put poor Susanna Foster in harm's way because she
yeah,
wasn't
she
famous
didn't
enough.
care for it. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she finishing up on the makeup and the Jack Pierce thing. Jack Pierce was purely in charge of the Phantom makeup on this, but he, like we said, actually on some of the other films, some people have kind of had a bit of a rough time with Jack Pierce, but Susanna Foster actually loved him. She really, really liked him, and she said that because she was quite new to it, and this was by far the biggest thing she had ever done, he gave her a lot of pointers on how to do her makeup because, like I said, Jack Pierce was the head of makeup at Universal. That didn't just cover monster makeup, that was everything. So, he was a very, very skilled makeup technician in general. So he
yeah.
helped her a lot. So even though she still done a lot of it herself, he would critique it and help her and get her to a point where as you see her in the film, it's very striking and stands out. And there's some lovely stories from her where she says that Jack Pierce and her would have their little back and forth little like play fights where he'd see her and her makeup wasn't up to scratch, so he'd have a go at her and stuff. But she said it was all playful and all she loved
Well,
it. Yeah.
on the commentary that he actually brought up kind of what you're talking about, but said like it wasn't terribly playful. It was like the one time where they kind of went back and forth, but every time that she fixed it the way that he said, she went, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay, he was right."
Yeah. I mean, fucking Jack Pierce, man. Of course
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
right.
yeah. I mean,
Of
come
course
on.
he's right.
Uh,
Yeah, he's absolutely correct.
so,
Did you talking about? I keep this is the problem with talking about Jack Pierce. I end up just going on forever about Jack Pierce. Right, like I promise this is the last Jack Pierce thing, but I do find this quite funny as well. So Nelson Eddy, one of the main characters, he was Swedish descent, I believe, and he had very famously had blonde hair.
mhm.
And he was told when he got this role, you are going to have to dye your hair black, and to play the opera singer that you're playing, because they don't have blonde hair. They, opera singers have jet black, slick back hair,
Okay.
and he was not down for this. He did not want to dye his hair at all. He loved his blonde hair, absolutely loved it. The way he actually agreed to do this film and signed on is Universal actually went to Jack Pierce and said, "What can you do?" So Jack Pierce invented a same day dye for Nelson Eddy, where he would dye his hair in the day, and then when they're finished, he could wash it out the same day. But Jack
Oh,
Pierce
okay.
invented that hair dye.
That's pretty rad. That's
Yeah,
pretty rad.
that's pretty cool, right? So every day he'd wash out, go home with his blonde locks, and then the next day he'd come
Yes.
in and they'd dye it again. Yeah, but that's the only way he'd do it. He wouldn't
That's
go
really
home
cool. I like
with a
that.
jet black hair.
Right
Yeah,
on.
but yeah, it was Jack Pierce that come up with it. So yeah, again, like I'm saying, just real makeup technician, just really knew his stuff. Really knew his stuff, man.
Most definitely. I mean, like, and again, like, I know we've, like you were saying, like we talked about it a bunch, but if you love practical makeup effects, the people you love this guy. So
Oh yes,
if you want to school yourself a little, go back and look at his work.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's. I don't think there's anything that can't be learned from looking at Jack Pierce's work. I just think anyway, like you can still learn from it. People are still trying
Hmm.
to reach those heights. Arguably, no one ever has really reached those heights.
I
So
mean, not in terms of iconic
yeah,
imagery.
exactly.
I mean, like you can say whatever you want to say about like your slasher heroes or your like the thing is amazing, but like
Yeah,
I don't know, there's something ever present and ever pervasive throughout the planet about the classic Universal monsters.
yeah, man,
Well, I
absolutely
didn't
incredible.
really get to look up much trivia, but there was one bit that I picked up on myself,
Yeah,
and
go
I
on,
guess
dude.
that'll be my tale. So did you notice the one almost identical similarity between Claudere and the Invisible Man as characters?
Go on.
So they both need just a little bit more time to get you your money.
Oh, yeah. That's a good. Yeah, no, I completely.
And it was almost identical delivery. I went, oh my god.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
I
I
don't
found
know
that
the
interesting.
I don't know the actress's name that is his landlady in this, but
Oh, I forget he talked about her on the commentary. I can't remember.
she is good. But I'd be lying if I said that I wish it weren't Una O'Connor.
Right?
Like, just I would have loved to have seen that. I would love to. Yeah, man. That's I think that's gonna wrap it up. Actually, I've dropped a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and that I knew about the film. I'm sure there's more out there if people want to go
100%
and
there.
dive into this, but this is definitely one. This is definitely one we're going to be jumping back into. Like I said, because I just think there's whole scene breakdowns you could do. There's everything, man. There's it's just such a cracking film. It really, really is. I would advise anyone to go and watch. Do you know what? Even if you don't like the Universal monster stuff, I think this will work
Kind of
for you.
very different. So
Yeah,
give it a
this will
shot.
work for you. Yeah, really, really well, man. All right, dude. We're one away. We're one away from wrapping the series up. So next time, ladies and gentlemen, we are diving into the creature from the Black Lagoon. So that's going to be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to getting into it, though. Yeah, from me,
Yeah,
that's it, buddy.
let's go.
Anything else from you?
Just take care of yourselves, everybody.
All right, guys. Until next week, Horror Hunts. Stay safe. Bye.